frigid New England morning between Thanksgiving and Christmas, my 6-year-old self is enshrined in the comfy chair, hanging my head off the cushions, watching the antics of my favorite cartoons upside down and giving me a whole new perspective on the world. Whenever a commercial injects itself, I focus on imagining I'm walking on the ceiling, stepping over transoms, walking around light fixtures, or watching the snow falling up through the trees outside the window. While debating whether to indulge in my third open-faced ready whip on bologna sandwich of the morning, I'm suddenly jarred back to right-side-up reality by a knock on the door. Who the heck would be at the front door in the freezing cold at 7 a.m., robbing me of my precious me time when I can finally rule the roost without any misguided adult intervention? Since I can't reach the peephole in the door, I crack the door, ready to slam it shut on any stranger danger. And I see a thin, hatless young man with the beginnings of a beard, hunched up against the cold in an oversized, bulky white sweater, clutching a green canvas duffel bag in his ungloved hand while a taxi backs out of the driveway. "Bonjour," he says. "Really? Bonjour at 7 a.m. on a Saturday? You're going to be kidding me. Who is this clown?" "Yes?" I demand. He then says the French pronunciation of my name, Joël, and a shiver runs through me. Only my French mother calls me that. How does he know my name? I've never laid eyes on this guy before, but there's a vague familiarity about his eyes. "Who are you?" I demand in my best manly 6-year-old voice. "Jean-Yves," he says. "Jean-Yves? Who or what is a Jean-Yves?" "Is Mama awake?" he asks in a deep French accent. Mama? My mind is reeling. There's no Mama here. Mom, as we all like to call her, is asleep. But only those of us who live here can call her that. There's no Mama here, especially for you, buddy. I slam the door and yell, "Mom! Mom! There's a Frenchman at the door!" Saturdays, I'm not allowed to disturb anyone until 9. But this is a friggin' emergency. There's a commotion at the other end of the house. My mother bustles into the room wearing her fluffy pink slippers and matching thick terry robe. Mom is always fashionable, if nothing else. "What is the problem? Why are you yelling?" she says in her French mom accent. In reality, I have never heard her accent. It is just Mom's voice to me. But it must be there. My friends are always giggling about it. "There's a strange Frenchman at the door, and he knows my name, my real name," I whine in my defense. She moves to the door in full Supermom mode and throws it open and freezes on the spot. "Jean-Yves? Jean-Yves!" she cries, rushing out into the cold and snow, fluffy slippers and all. She's weeping and collapses against him. "Mama, Mama," he keeps repeating as he holds her in a death grip. The two of them continue to embrace, crying, "I'm in shock. This needs to stop right now." "You're letting all the heat out!" I exclaim, hoping to break the spell. Well, that's what they yell at me whenever I leave the door open, so there's a solid precedent here. My father rushes in and growls in his usual gruff way. "What the hell is going on?" he demands of me, and then looks out the door. And he freezes as well as he stares at the two of them embracing on the stoop. I see fear on his face for a brief moment. And then he grabs the collar of my bathrobe and propels me across the floor. "Go to your room," he barks at me. I stand there mute. "Now," he yells and moves toward me. I know this movement, and impact is imminent. This calls for some quick distance. We can debate the finer points later. I march my indignation and hurt down the hall to my room, and when at a calculated safe distance, scream, "I didn't do anything!" and slam the door, ineffectually, as a 6-year-old would. I lean against the door and sink to the floor, straining to hear, but all I can make out is a wave of French erupting among the three of them. I'm used to this, as this is my parents' secret language in my presence whenever adult stuff is being discussed. I have only the tone of their conversation to go by, and it is a seesaw of happy, sad, joy, and sorrow. I can't make heads or tails of what is happening. I put my head on my knees and begin to sob. Who is he? Who is he? Why is he calling my mom, Mama? The room feels like it's tilting and everything that was my reality is slipping away and knotting in my stomach. "She's my mother, not yours!" I scream to the four walls. I don't know him, but I know I hate him. Okay, let's hit the pause button here for a moment. A little background is needed. I was a surprise child. That's 50s Catholic slang for an unwanted child born too late in life. My greatest generation parents were both walking wounded of World War II. My mother, a resident, my father, a French-speaking beach landing visitor in Normandy, both having survived a little thing called D-Day. They met and fall in love, or so I'm told. Preceding their first meeting, my mother experienced first the violation of occupation, followed by the triumphant trauma of liberation, complete with bombs, bullets, and bodies literally on her doorstep. My father saw friends drown and shot trying to gain the beach, and he became target practice himself for the Germans once there. The results? Mom surfed a series of waves of nervous breakdowns in the years that followed. My father continued his fight to try to drink the demons away. This chaos, called home, is the backdrop for my Saturday morning drama. After falling asleep on the carpet, the door hits me as my mother tries to enter. "Why are you there?" her tear-stained face demands. "Get up." I rise and sit on my bed, but I can't look at her. I don't know how, but I know she has betrayed me. "Who is he?" I manage to squeak out. She sits on the bed, is quiet for a moment, and then says matter-of-factly, "He's your brother. It's complicated. Now behave and come to breakfast with us." "He's not my brother. I never saw him before. How can he be my brother?" I whine. "I know. I have a strong case here. And besides, I already have a pain-in-the-ass brother 5 years my senior and a saintly sister 11 years older. All siblings have been present and accounted for since I arrived." Who the heck does she think she's kidding with this? "You're too young to understand. I was married in France before I met your father." The floor drops out from under me. My mother is a bigamist? What the hell? How can you be married to two people at the same time? That's illegal, I assert. I know of what I speak. I watch Perry Mason. I divorced him. The floor descends 5 more levels. My mother's a divorcee? There is no greater shame. I've seen enough days of our lives to confirm this. How can I ever face anyone at school again? The thought of my future as an outcast sends me to the depths of despair. I see them moving my desk to the corner, never being selected for dodgeball, always last in the milk line. But where has he been? Where will he stay, I croak. Already visions of adding a third level to our bunk beds cloud my mind. This will not do. I have the top bunk. I fought long and hard with my brother for it, and I heard possession is 10 times the law, something like that. I already fell out of it once. A third level could kill me. His father's parents wouldn't let him leave France after the war. They sued for custody, as he is the only male heir. He's lived with them since. Her face crumbles to tears again. My hardened heart begins to soften a bit, despite my better judgment. I don't really understand. I just know that this is a very deep sadness, listening to the tenor of her sobbing, like when my puppy died, but somehow more. After she tries to collect herself, I ask, why is he here now? His grandparents couldn't deal with him anymore. He got into trouble. He ran away. Sorry, but this is not a strong recommendation for residency here. I sit and let her words sink in and momentarily entertain my favorite fantasy. My real parents drive up in a big limousine and demand that these people return their darling baby boy to them immediately to live in their beautiful mansion with a pool as their only child. Who knows? There could even be a pony in the mix. We will talk about this later when you're older. Sure, lady. I've heard that nugget before. Fat chance I could get hit by a bus tomorrow and never learn the truth about this whole sordid mess. I've watched The Fugitive on TV, you know. I'm the victim here. Let's not forget that. Come to the table, she directs. I'm not hungry. In my best plaintive, wounded voice, and bury my face into my pillow. I feel her rise and the door close. Discussion over. So this is what passes for parenting in the 60s. Where the hell are my real parents? Thank you.
That was Joelle Pointon.